she's really frustrated with their lack of ability to make, that's her right there yelling, who can guard Tessa? And look at somebody raise their hand.
Today in the corner, best three-point shooter in the country, Tessa Johnson on cue.
And Austin just Final Four continues to. Oh, Tessa Johnson for three. Raven back to Tessa.
Don Staley talked about Padina Okad, just her development and evolution. And Tessa Johnson.
Over to Tessa. Who can guard her?
Tessa Johnson known for her.
That gave her a lot of confidence. And speaking of
Tessa Johnson with a silencer. Tessa Johnson for the lead. Knocks it down. Tessa Johnson.
Who can guard Tessa? Who can guard Tessa? Who can guard Tessa?
Tessa Johnson.
Still cooking every time. Cry go crazy. Game on lock. Who can guard Tessa? Not only block. Who can guard Tessa? Nobody. Who can guard Tessa?
Tessa Johnson. You bet. Johnson got that one. Johnson again. Off to Tessa. Her three.
Who can guard Tessa?
Johnson.
Skip pass to Johnson. Tessa from the corner, her second three.
She's playing with a lot of passion on the defensive end.
Heat check for Tessa. Johnson to Edwards. Outside to Tessa Johnson, her fourth three.
Say it loud. Say it loud. When it back, say it proud. So proud. Who can guard Tessa? Ain't nobody shut her down. Who can guard Tessa? One time. Who can guard Tessa? Two times. Who can guard Tessa? Three times. Who can guard Tessa? Still cooking every time. One time. Who can guard Tessa?
Number two against number four. Here we go. Tessa Johnson gets a clean look and knocks it. Tessa Johnson with enough space. Tessa Johnson, a three.
Tessa Johnson.
Tessa Johnson. Tessa Johnson.
Crowd go crazy. Crowd go crazy. Who can guard Tessa? Crowd go crazy. Crowd go crazy.
Johnson open for three.
Who can guard Tessa?
They are knocking down open shots. Tessa Johnson certainly one of them.
Tessa Johnson pulls.
Who can guard Tessa? Who can guard? Crowd go
Tessa Johnson.
Who can guard Tessa?
Ron Staley wants her team to continue to improve.
Who can guard Tessa? Who can guard?
Sees the answer on the other side.
Who can guard Tessa?
Setting the tone for this Providence team. 9 points, 2 boards. Tessa Johnson, she has been locked.
Rebound number 13 from Adina Okots. Tessa Johnson. Knockdown.
Do you like South Carolina playing a little smaller, Carolyn? Is Tessa Johnson's been the story tonight for Auburn. They've missed a lot of open shots.
Whoa! Shooting game was against Carolina. They've already matched it with 3 triples.
Johnson off to McDaniel. Back to Tessa. Her three. You bet!
Kentucky has gone too key.
Johnson again.
Latson to Tessa.
Here's Okot. Skips it for Johnson to knock it down.
Dive on the backside of that double. Okot reads the second level and hits the three.
Latson out ahead of the pack. Lays it in. Raven Johnson, eyes up. Tessa on the drive, bodies in and finishes. Latson with 4 as well. Johnson gets the ball this time, puts it up and in.
Johnson with her hands in the passing lane. No points for Tessa Johnson, but still impacting winning for South Carolina. Off of 2 high screens. Johnson picking her moment.
Hassett and Boone, both big-time threats from 3. Johnson's
Tessa Johnson. Man, talk about a tough shot.
Tessa Johnson has been the creator. Gets all the way home with the left hand.
Tessa on the drive, hooks it in, plus the foul for UCLA. Tessa Johnson again, plus the foul.
Shot clock down to single digits. Nice drive with a reverse basket.
Shooting it well. They've scored on 5 of their last 6 attempts. Tessa Johnson rolls to the lane. And she sticks the pull-up.
Latson eyes up, back to Okot. Tessa Johnson saved that from being a turnover.
South Carolina no field goals the last 4+ minutes. Double comes. Johnson baseline jumper is good.
Tessa Johnson with the takeaway, got tripped up.
Here comes Harmon off the steal. Harmon goes cross. Gordon Johnson able to get back.
Tessa up ahead of Joyce Edwards.
Johnson directing traffic. In the corner, it's Johnson. The other way, Lamondola. Grand Canyon none. A ton of fouls in the first quarter. Johnson, good feed to Okot. Lamondola over Latson, can't hit. Rebound ripped down by Tessa Johnson. Johnson on the move. Pulls up and hits. You're the primary backup in your position.
It truly defines the next man up mentality.
Third South Carolina player with 11 points so far. Lamondola can't answer. Johnson stops and hits. Puts up 6 inches to Tessa Johnson. There's Tessa inside for 2. Finds an open sack. Tessa Johnson pulls up, rattles it in.
She could serve as a matchup discrepancy depending on what position she plays, because she's also capable of playing that 3 position.
Johnson, first team. Johnson, she'll take it herself. Goes behind the back. Tessa Johnson. Coach Staley talked about how hard she's been working this season. That time she feeds Okot. She had 3 points in the opener against Louisiana. Johnson for 3. Got it.
She could be big for Bowling Green.
Johnson, so smooth.
Continually finding ways to put the ball in the basket.
Bullseye from Tessa Johnson.
To alter the run, the drive.
Johnson feeds Okot.
Boy, look at the defense forcing her way out top. Another block shot.
3 spot this year. She's really worked on her perimeter game.
Latson open on the inbound. See if they get a touch for Edwards. Johnson, mid-range go. 9 2-point attempts. Sean Poppy did not like that selection.
But you know what? That's Clemson's game.
Tessa Johnson pulls up mid-range, count it. Last year's national scoring leader while at Florida State. More Tessa. She is 1 for 12 tonight. Meanwhile, Tessa Johnson. South Carolina gets a steal. They'll head the other way with it. Filling the lane. Look at the bigs run on the floor. Early part of the season.
Turnover.
And how they were so connected.
Edwards, the runner.
For South Carolina to run their half-court offense where they haven't been quite as effective.
Tessa Johnson just races. A major factor in the first half of tonight's game. Tessa Johnson right to the rim and finishes.
Rips down the rebound. She's had double-doubles in 2 of her last 3 games. Tessa Johnson on the drive. Rifles a pass inside. And Porter trying to shake Tessa Johnson. Good D by Tessa Johnson. Scoring on the opening possession. Good job by the Eagles. Take it to the Gamecocks. Tessa Johnson. Offensive rebound for the Gamecocks. Tessa Johnson's wide open for 3. Yep. Boom.
Isla McDowell, and you see why Coach Staley's so high on her. One dribble from one end of the floor. 60 seconds left in the half. Johnson from downtown. You bet. But her mother recently, Rashida, did an interview, and she tells an amazing story. Another transition opportunity for South Carolina, and Tessa Johnson has the same success. Johnson out for Tessa Johnson. You bet. 6'4" as well, so it's tough. Baseline jumper. Johnson around a no-coach screen, trying to go underneath over the top. For Joyce Edwards, who has a chance at 3.
Johnson against Booker. Gets the switch from Carlton. Rising and knocking it down. Tessa Johnson beat this Texas defense down the floor.
And Latson just 1 of 9 from the field. Tessa Johnson, good luck trying to guard them in the mid-range.
Up and down we go. Now the action. Thank you, Chelsea.
And the screen and roll has been successful for South Carolina.
A coat with deep position. Working against Cunningham, and she scores.
That's a great start for Louisville.
See the starters for the Gamecocks tonight. Latson, 17 a game, 19 a game. 6'3" junior from Turkey. First year as a starter. Quickly back the other way. Tessa Latson the catch and a release. Left it short. Offensive rebound. Tessa Johnson and the stick back. About a 13.5-second difference between game and shot clocks here at the end of the first quarter. Good catch from Okote. Got to see
In the WNBA, you have to be able to do that.
Michael Vopel's got Okote 10th in the mock draft so far on consecutive trips. Okote got the seal on Istanbulolu.
Yeah. And I think her priority is on the defensive side.
Tessa Johnson from the corner.
Good fourth quarter against Arizona State. A scoring machine as a freshman.
Pull-up J for Tessa Johnson. That matchup inside with Okote and Merkel, but Okote out due to illness.
I think she is a freshman that is quickly figuring things out.
Bodies hitting the deck all over. Ball coming up with it is Tessa Johnson. McMiller and Penn State have struggled here in this third quarter. Just holding on to the basketball. Leaking out again this time. It's Tessa Johnson. Been cleared to come back into action.
Yeah.
Preparing herself as she started practicing last week.
Help Gracie Merkel inside, because when you look at the advantage that South Carolina has right now, points in the paint.
And just tough going so far in this second half. And good coverage on the backside.
Raven Johnson. Tessa Johnson on the pull-up. Gets the roll.
Been able to get some scores in transition.
3 of 6 shooting so far for the Bulls. Johnson a little off balance, but rattles out.
And South Carolina to have 5 players on the floor that can do that.
Of course, rebounding comes down on October 23rd, and with this schedule, that was a lot.
And then she can handle it up the court. Making plays in space off the bounce, facing up.
As they get closer and closer to conference play. Tessa Johnson inside for 2. Okote. 2 more.
It's going to be tough. South Carolina, defensively, 25%. Yeah, by far the largest crowd Alico has seen this year for a basketball game.
The inside of Aduna. Skip Bass across to Johnson. Inside, nice pass to Edwards. Johnson, and Latson wants to push it for South Carolina. And Johnson hits it. Tessa Johnson pulling up from 13 feet.
Minus 25 in steals against their opponents.
Edwards inside and draws the foul from Alexander.
Averaging 10 a game. Had 6 against Georgetown before fouling out off the bench for the first time.
1-2 off the made free throw.
Tessa Johnson, transition 3 is good. Gay with the beautiful reverse, but it just won't drop. Tessa Johnson with the long left-hand pass and the finish by Raven Johnson. Johnson to Latson. Latson.
And it had a call on it, and it said rebound. They've got to be pleased at this point in the game as they're up on the boards. If I'm Don Staley, I'm also pleased she didn't give up on the play. She was trying to get the ball to Okot. It wasn't a great pass. Worked on is a lot of the coordination piece to help her be more explosive off the bounce.
Tessa Johnson.
Seeing themselves on the glass now.
Tessa Johnson.
This is Tessa Johnson. Having her best shooting season of her career. Drains that one.
Dragging them out there by showing her ability to shoot.
Scott not shy. Rebound for Tessa Johnson. Gets it up ahead to Raven Johnson. Johnson for 3. On target.
In South Carolina, you know, they've got to break that interior wall. Alabama did a good job of walling up and making it tough for South Carolina.
Johnson against Collins. Kicks it out. Tessa Johnson from 3. Whether they feel like this is the year they can get it or not, they're going to bring their best. Tessa Johnson. Collins looking for some space. Get the shot off. Couldn't hit. Tessa Johnson skies for the rebound.
Oh, that was because of that bee's nest that Raven Johnson put on her.
Oh. Johnson, terrific feed. She found a caught. Ramsey. Steal from McDaniel. Up ahead, she finds Tessa Johnson. Edwards.
Somebody who knows what it takes to get to that moment.
There's a steal for Tessa Johnson. There's 7 to go. Here in the fourth quarter. And 1. Medina O'Connor.
And that one blocked by Tessa Johnson. Back at Westlake High School, won 3 state championships. And then a couple here. 5 seconds left on the play clock and counting. Johnson may have gotten a deflection on that one. Out and running in transition. South Carolina, where they are ever so great.
McKeer, extra pass into the corner for Johnson. She'll drive. Took a hard fall. And South Carolina will come back. Nice bounce pass ahead to Raven Johnson.
Ooh, that's a nice pass.
Edwards, the catch, the spin in the basket.
Quarter, it's a close game and maybe put some pressure on.
These teams are tired right now. We're long overdue for just about everything has to go right some nights.
Yep, and Arkansas zoning it here out of the timeout.
Open look.
High school,
indeed.
McDonald's All-American. Has a nice little screen action.
Johnson switched hands and scored. McDaniel had the basket before the end of the first quarter. She's in there now. That's an open 3 and a knockdown. But they've had some misses as well. And then a little float and drop from Joyce Edwards. It did.
And then she was like, okay, I'm 5 feet away. I can finish this. Beautiful shot. Nice touch. Leah Jones going to try to score this one.
Spinning, twisting, leaning, and that shot will... Pre-game was the difference in shooting percentage between the Gamecocks and their opponents.
Nice fake and nice pass.
Tessa Johnson, that high release.
Yeah.
And she gets rid of the ball quickly and she'll knock one in.
Boy, that was a beautiful play. Really good job by McDaniel, too. And then on the other end, Gowda played here.
Tessa Johnson, quick release.
They could not spin that one in. Latson with the look away pass to Tessa Johnson, who goes with the mid-range pull-up. Georgia within 11. Edwards for 2.
And she has answered the bell thus far in this first half. 8 points as Tessa Johnson.
The local product, Maddie McDaniel, who's got the shot up in the right corner, and she's 1 for 1.
Again, that's exactly how well they are playing out here, not playing afraid, but...
Transfer from UNC Asheville and the Wisconsin native. Johnson again.
Had a little spacing and able to knock down that 3.
Gamble almost threw it away and forces Wells to, and then Barnes, a battle-tested team come March, as they usually are. Definitely one of the favorites.
People here from Baltimore, I think Maryland definitely draws a lot of basketball here, generates some dollars for the university as well. Those are all positives. You don't really think so much.
Parrish McBride with 9 for Coppin State. 24 turnovers has been killer for Coppin State, and it's been 27 points off those turnovers. caught the rebound, outlet, and now South Carolina's just running the floor. They're just getting out in transition. 23, they hosted the defending national champions in Angel Reese and Kim Mulkey at LSU. Another 3. Pickpocket again, Latson. She's got Johnson resetting in that corner. Second try.
Kenny Baranczyk telling us if we had 100 possessions in practice this week, 97 of them. Tessa Johnson finally back in, and once again, there's Tessa working behind Okot. Johnson, nice bounce. Okot banks it in. She goes to the bench with 4 fouls. Tap, turns, and finishes. They have outscored their opponents in the paint this season by 27 points per game. Johnson like a blur.
Executed to perfection.
Tessa Johnson able to scoop it in.
Again by South Carolina's defense. McKeer over to Tessa Johnson.
Just picked up her second foul for Vanderbilt.
Tessa Johnson off the inbound. I'm talking about Vanderbilt being sped up. Tessa Johnson stops and pops. Little bank shot.
Johnson still in foul trouble on the bench.
Tessa Johnson. Dagger. Edwards comes to get it. Snuck into the corner. Tessa Johnson. I mean, she has made such a major impact since joining this program. On the offensive end, especially with this, starting out with this small lineup.
Nice cut off the mark. Yeah, Latson's game against Vanderbilt, that was her first 20-plus point game against an SEC opponent. Nice look into Edwards. Tessa Johnson.
South Carolina, after the loss to Oklahoma, I think she really got her team's attention.
Shot clock again down to 4. Baseline jumper is Tessa Johnson. Knocks down the 3.
When she needs to pass it, there's no second thought about it.
3 is open, and it is good by
small lineup means more benches, more post players coming off the bench.
3 on the way. That is
Joyce Edwards led the team in scoring coming in off the bench.
Tessa Johnson.
Charlie Cream has Carolina on the 1 line, along with Texas out of the SEC, LSU and Vanderbilt on the 2 line.
What they need to do offensively.
Tessa Johnson to Edwards off the fake. Silky smooth.
Going right at McFall. Offensive rebound. Another opportunity. Tessa Johnson, 46% from three-point range, leading all SEC shooters. Her 4th of the game, one of the top rebounders in the conference. And there's Raven.
Possession, Talaysia Cooper denied her all over the floor, why Raven Johnson could not get her a touch. Good recognition. Weaving into the lane. We'll kick it out to Barker. And that's way off. Tessa Johnson rebound, and look at this run out. Johnson will take it herself.
And that's one of the reasons you play a zone, is to make a team ponder, make them think, make them slow down, and not just be able to play with their typical rhythm. Hasn't always been in Dawn Staley's playbook, but it is to first.
45 seconds have gone the way Kyle Bacon imagined. Trips to the scorer's table, falling into cheerleaders. Raven Johnson. A 7-0 LSU run at Tessa Johnson. Here's Tessa on the attack, up under and in.
It means another ranked versus ranked team. Courtney Lyle and Carolyn Peck with you as South Carolina finds Tessa. The kick out to Maddie McDaniel. Boom! Joyce Edwards up and over. Latson left it short. Stolen away by Tessa Johnson. And Latson
with her attributes. And she has certainly done that. Coach Yo on the other side with the Rebels in her 8th season. with a couple of trips to the Sweet 16 in the last 3 years. And Joyce Edwards. So far, they're 1-2. They're caught. Tessa comes to help and gets the pick. They've won 54 straight SEC home games.
And so the observable component is the one
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I know you like that one. Because that's because we watch
test.
Just because we watch a lot of basketball.
Latson from Tessa.
Maggie Tiemann and Timothy Green are officials. And South Carolina comes into this game the SEC regular season champions. Tessa Johnson, the top three-point shooter in the league this year in terms of percentage, dumps it off. Okot, look at her just grab that over Obi. Kick out. Johnson wants the three. She'll can it. This game is tied at 37.
My goodness, what a step back. And that's what you do. If you're South Carolina, that's how you answer.
McDaniel working baseline kick out. Johnson with the answer.
Really nice.
South Carolina pushing right now, trying to get the lead back to double figures. Johnson, 3 national championships for this South Carolina program, last in 2024, lost in the final last year to a very good UConn squad. And then South Carolina went on a 10-0 run. Johnson out of the timeout responds. You won't have much to work with.
Yeah, this is where...
And Kentucky's 2 players collide. Okot off the glass to seal things here.
Got rejected by the rim, and here comes Johnson. Pushing it ahead. Edwards in transition serves it home. Zipping up the floor. Spinning, dishing. Tessa connects with haste. Johnson going to drive it this time. Here's Edwards finding the cutter. Tessa Johnson. LSU's 22-0 this season when scoring 80 or more. Raven Johnson connects. And a steal. Rebound Edwards, another chance for South Carolina. Raven Johnson connects. Tessa Johnson, little pull-up mid-range is good. For Wiley, throws it away. Johnson able to corral it after a lot of trouble.
But South Carolina hasn't been able to even set up their D.
Tessa Johnson. Okot has shot it well from 3. Missed that one, knew it right away. Tessa twisting and banking it home.
Another steal, this time from McKeer. Got it back from Tessa Johnson and scores. And Edwards will slow it down with Tessa Johnson. Right back to Edwards, scores it and a foul. Johnson gave it up. Okot again. Missed it. Johnson the offensive rebound and step back for Tessa Johnson.
Player movement, working the fluidity that Dawn Staley's talking about on the offensive end of the floor. Multiple players have opportunities to take shots, and tonight Latson gets a
Tessa Johnson knocks it down. 4 of them this year. Tessa Johnson with space. Can't do that.
No, gotta find her.
14 points. She's now hit 4 threes. All of her scoring in the second half. And a great
to fall right there, but just a lot of one-on-one dribbling for USC. Not a lot of ball and play and movement.
Kennedy Smith, more than half the USC production. Edwards spinning again, not done with 2 more. Final shot of the half belongs to USC or not.
Well, at the half, USC head coach Lindsey Gottlieb challenged her team's pride, saying, "We can lose, but not like this. We can't be punks and give up."
Here goes for Virginia. First round overtime against Georgia, and then you go double OT against McKeer. Saw it. Johnson.
Okot's got the size advantage on Sahara Williams. Tessa Johnson. There it is. It's OU's last shot to take if they want it. Chavez steps back and it gets touched by South Carolina. 4 points. 2 for 2 from the field for Reagan Beers, but she's had to create both of those. Tessa Johnson's coming off of this. Right to the elbow she goes. Tessa gives it back to Joyce. Shooting over 2 defenders. Swatted away by Brooklyn Stewart. Tessa got it back. Turn around. Raven Johnson looking to work. Joyce Edwards here. Can't hook it in. Johnson steps in for the three. South Carolina can run. No surprise, they give it to McKeer. Tessa Johnson. Joyce Edwards in the paint. Miles saw an opening. Taken away by Tessa. I mean, she has been active on both ends.
Dawn Staley said she was a little bit worried about the nerves settling in for O'Cott here in her first Final Four.
That was the one player she had that concern with. Here comes the junior Tessa. Tessa's pull-up is good. McDaniel, who has grown a lot throughout this season, as a sophomore for South Carolina. Tessa lays it in. Here comes Johnson. Tessa tosses in. Edwards, the footwork, and the finish.
Limited sample size this year, and they had a lot of success using it against Connecticut as well.
Tessa Johnson for the Utah transfer, Gianna Neepkins. Tessa connects.
They said only positivity from here out. They've got to think of what can we do instead of focusing on what they can't.
All right, good stuff, Paul. Is McKeer 9 rebounds and 5 assists. Tessa Johnson in the crowd, elevates. Wow. Tessa working her way through traffic, drops it in.